Alright, so anyone following along with the Hurco km3 conversion, I pulled out the control board after I figured some stuff out. Basically, this is what my cabinet looks like now. I just powered up the machine. I have some jumpers in the relay board here. Basically what these are doing is when the machine was powered up and the control was working, and there's a spider on there, the control was off, but I was still able to power it up. So I went through all of these connectors that have a number on them and a wire attached to it, and I wrote them all down, and with power I wrote down what each one of these has. So these bottom two I noticed are always ground, and then I went through, so with power these all have 24 volts, and then like 11 is 0, and that's, you need to know that, and 23 is 0. And what I was confused with is I thought a lot of these you would just give it 24 volts and the relay would turn on, but that's not the case. So like with the power, this 11 pin needs to be pulled to ground. So I have this orange wire and it's connected to ground. So if I take that out, 11 now has 24 volts, and you noticed that this relay shut off. And so if I put the 11 pin back in, then this relay powered back on. So I basically figured out what all my I/O is for this. So when I hook it up to the Mesa card, I can pull pins. I can move it up and down, or I can give it 24 volts, or I can pull it to ground. And doing so, I can turn on my flood coolant, turn the spindle on, turn the machine on, get the servos powered on, mist coolant, and so I can use this existing relay board and all of its wiring and relays on the other side of the cabinet to control the machine. And with it on like this, I can give these drives, this VCS negative is my control, well, it's the positive and the negative. So the VCS is you give it plus or minus 10 volts. 10 volts is its maximum speed, so I gave it like a AA battery, so 1.5 volts, and it'll move the corresponding axis in that direction. So you give it plus, it'll go one direction, minus, it'll go the other direction. So I've got Z, Y, and X. So I've just been tracing all this stuff back. So on one of those connectors, I couldn't figure out how to, I would have liked to have used these pins. I took the connector all apart. I don't know what I did with these pieces here. This clamshell opens up, I took it apart, and basically all this comes out. And these little pins all go inside of here, and there's not a way to pull them through, so I ended up having to just cut the wires. I don't think I'll end up reusing the connectors because they'll connect straight to the terminal blocks on the Mesa card. But so I labeled this, I traced back, so that's a Z encoder. So I found this gray wire, 320, goes up into here, and I've got my encoders that hook up to these three wires will be for that encoder. So I've got a Z encoder there, and then this must be, and then I'll trace this back to make sure, but I believe that's Y, and then this is X. So I've got an X encoder, a Y encoder, and Z encoder. So I'm kind of narrowing this down. So these blocks are X, Y, and Z. Makes sense. I'm not totally sure if I'm gonna end up using any of this, because This was all just connected to that main control card. I don't know what any of it does yet, so I'm just following that. The only thing that I'm confused about still is the e-stop circuit, how I would tie into that, or where I would track it down at, how to get the e-stop correctly working, and a reset button. I have a feeling that there's something in this relay board that when I hit e-stop, it'll either give like my grounded ones 24 volts, which doesn't make sense. You want your e-stop to always go to ground, so if there's a short or something somewhere, your e-stop is on. So I guess I need to figure that out, but otherwise that's where I'm at, making progress. I found my end stops and I labeled this board. I've got X, Y, and Z is in there. Starting to come together. I'm not sure what this connector was for. It was hidden back inside of this wire track. These parallel port connectors, I probably won't use those. I'll end up taking them out. I'm just kind of leaving everything as is until I'm 100% sure I don't need it, or I'm only disconnecting stuff when I'm 100% sure what it is, and I make sure to label it and take note of it. So that's it for now. Thanks.